recording. Now I've started recording. So hello, Cambridge University Star Society. I'm super excited to introduce our ambassador, Vanessa Marshall, who is, of course, the voice of Hera in Star Wars Rebels. She's also been in a wealth of other shows, which I'm sure you love, like Guardians of the Galaxy, Scooby-Doo, and, of course, the unforgettable movie Jack Frost 2, Revenge of the Mutant Killer Snow. Vanessa, how are you? How are you dealing with lockdown?
Oh, I'm doing well. Thank you so much. Yeah, I work from home normally by myself anyway, so it's not really much different. And I'm connecting with friends internationally more than I ever have. So all told, not too bad.
Lots of benefits coming out of lockdown.
Yeah,
And,
little gifts here and there.
Yeah, so true. And just before we start, would you like to introduce the viewer to what your background is, because it's a very exciting one.
Yes, this is some classic, I don't know if you can see Dave Filoni art there, Ahsoka.
Truly beautiful.
Oh, the Clone Wars.
Yeah,
Deep breath.
Such an emotional show. And we'll certainly get into your role in the Clone Wars and in Rebels and lots of stuff like that. But just to start off with the first question, how does it feel to be the official ambassador of Cambridge University Star Wars Society?
I don't think you even understand how grateful I am. No, I really don't. And my friends in England will tell you, like, someday you'll meet them, you'll be like, oh, you know, they'll explain to you what this means to me. I've always been a huge Anglophile my entire life,
really?
right? Yeah, at age 14, I went over and studied at the National Youth Theatre of Great Britain. Mm-hmm. And I have been going back ever since. You know, I have, my credit cards are Virgin Atlantic, so I accrue miles so I can fly, you know, premium economy and pay economy price. Like I've got this whole thing on lock. And then my entire home, here's the weird thing. Whenever I go to England, I feel at home. And really? I don't even need an A to Z in London. Like, I know where shit is. It's very strange. I don't even know how or why. So here's the weird thing. We had a family reunion a couple years ago. Yeah. And I found out that my great grandmother was adopted, and that her last name was Cohen. Mm-hmm. And my mom's Dutch, my dad's Italian. And I thought, Cohen, maybe we're Jewish. Maybe we're part, you know, chosen members of the tribe. I need to know. Yeah. And so I did my ancestry.com, which they say isn't advisable because sometimes they can sort of, if you have pre-existing, I don't know, they can figure things out through your DNA and then not give you health coverage later in life. But that's another crazy story. But anyway, so I did my ancestry and the results came back that I am 84% British.
What? That was
Thank you.
The best thing.
Well done. Well done. Thank you. Yes.
So yes, for an Anglophone like you, that must have meant the world.
Oh, I don't even think you know. My friends, they call me the red bus chaser. Like, anything remotely having to do with the UK, I'm all over it.
Do you think it's because you were in the UK when you were younger, or do you think it's just you prefer the culture, or what?
I prefer the culture. I love the theater. I love the music. I love the music scene. I'm a huge fan of stories, which, you know, sort of dovetails into my love of Star Wars. But I feel like whenever I would visit the UK and I would see theater, and of course we have all the literary greats, you know, hail from there, that I would witness the greatest stories ever being told. Like, you know, I got to see, who was it? Richard Harris. I think he was. I mean, I've seen some of the best theater when I've been there, and there's nothing like it. It's just a level of excellence that is beyond anything America could ever dream of. And, you know, not to denigrate the theater scene here, I think we do okay. We do. But there's something so phenomenally sacred and special about theater in the UK that I just can't get enough of it. Yeah.
That's so interesting to hear, because obviously a lot of people in England really venerate, like, personally, I love, like, Hamilton and all the stuff like Lin-Manuel Miranda's done in America. So it's interesting that you have that veneration for England as well. It's
different. I can't explain it. It's the overall package. And because the writing is excellent, the acting is superb, but the lighting design and the color choices and the shifts in music, it's almost like I almost feel like I'm in a Salvador Dali dream at times. and it's just so sublime that it's almost like the designers are in my skull late at night, and they know exactly just how powerful dreams can be. And that's I just experienced something, if I can use the term, that's intergalactic when I sit there.
Yeah, that's so fantastic. Well,
saw Richard Harris in a Pirandello play one year.
Really?
Like, yeah, ever since then, when I graduated college, I went by myself and lived all summer in London by myself. I went to jazz clubs, Ronnie Scott's, sit there and listen. That's when I learned. That's when I learned the power of silence. Because when the jazz musicians were doing all their stuff, but then they would bring it down.
Yeah.
And the value in that pause before they erupted again. Yeah, man. I just, every single thing that you guys do over there works for me on a level
that's lovely to hear, and we're super happy to have you as our ambassador. Have you ever visited Cambridge?
Never. It's a bucket list item, so that's happening. Get ready, guys, because I'm coming over.
Oh, we can't wait. We'll take you to all the theatre in Cambridge, show you all the sites. Gosh.
Well, I was supposed to go to a convention in Birmingham.
Oh, yes.
And I wasn't able to make it last year. And also they were saying that this year I would go to MCM London, I think. So I think as soon as we are able to be near one another safely, if conventions start up again, I should be back in the UK, and I certainly have the miles to get there today. But if and when that happens, heads up, we are celebrating everything.
We will celebrate, Vic. That is super exciting. Well, we're super glad that you're an Anglophone and part of Cambridge University Star Wars Society. And just as like a first introductory question before we get on to kind of fan questions, quite a few of our members aren't, well, they're kind of newbie Star Wars fans. They've been introduced to it because of the Society. So could you, for that audience, introduce who you play in Star Wars, and also kind of separate to that, how you inject your own like person into that character?
Well, yes. Okay. So Star Wars is obviously one of the most amazing space operas you'll ever witness. There are several episodes of it. In my lifetime, I started at episode 4. And
did you see episode 4 when I was in the cinema?
Yes, I did. Yeah. My aunt brought me, and we didn't know what we were looking at, and it just forever changed my life. It was so beyond anything I'd ever seen before. But
so you were a Star Wars fan before your part in Star Wars Rebels?
Definitely. Yeah. Again, it's a fan of storytelling, and when he deals with mythic dynamics of the hero's journey and all these choices and things that are so universal and rewarding and satisfying to see come to fruition. I witnessed that in episodes 4, 5, and 6. And then waited in line at Mann's Chinese Theater for episodes 1, 2, and 3, opening night till 1 in the morning. Yeah, and so my character, Hera Syndulla, she was born. If they've seen the Clone Wars, she was born in the sort of, I think it's the first season, the Ryloth arc. Chom Syndulla is dealing with Imperial forces, and we don't see Hera at that point, but Chom is her father. So, she always had sort of a love of flying, if you will.
Yes, we certainly see that in the show a lot.
Yeah, when we meet her, she is now much closer to episode 4, sort of farther past where the Clone Wars leave off. And essentially, she's part of building the Rebel Alliance. If your fans remember seeing, or your members rather, who are fans, remember seeing Princess Leia, put the information into R2-D2, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. We are the crew, along with everything that they may have seen in Rogue One. It's on our backs. We are the people who worked one day at a time, relentlessly focused on liberating and building the Rebel Alliance. So she's a part of that. And Ahsoka Tano,
cool. Yes, the one and
only. When Rebels begins, Ahsoka Tano is known as Fulcrum. And if they've recently seen the Clone Wars, it's right where the Clone Wars ends. She becomes Fulcrum. And I'm not sure how she recruits Hera, but Hera then is meant to recruit a crew. And she,
Yeah.
if you read A New Dawn, you see how she met Kanan. Bong, there it is.
Fantastic.
Yeah, right. Very cool, man. The two of them, I just love them so much.
Yeah,
I mean,
what was it like
Kanan and Hera.
Yeah, that relationship that your character Hera has with Kanan, that was quite an interesting one to see develop, because there was like, was it romantic, was it not? And of course, by the end, we saw that it was. But what was it like, kind of seeing how that relationship developed? Did you know where it was going to go from the start?
No, it seemed as though they knew of an attraction to one another.
Mm-hmm.
However, they had such a phenomenal task at hand that romance and such seemed like a petty distraction.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And so I felt like they were more concerned with saving lives and building the Rebel Alliance. And I don't know that they had time for that. And it seems that
yes.
as Rebels went on, as she grew in title and in strength, Kanan was able to take over more sort of militaristically. No longer was Hera the only one who knew everything from Fulcrum. All was revealed. So that was no longer, something she was shouldering alone. I think she was able to exhale a bit and open her heart. And then when she has her Calicori stolen by Thrawn, I think when she says, "I already have my family," there's a softening in her that I think is really one of the greatest messages of the show, that sometimes chosen family bonds can be stronger than those of blood.
Yes, that's such a powerful message.
Yeah.
And I really want that people need to hear, like in times like this.
Yeah, exactly. We all need that. And so I think, by the end of it, she realizes that as the Empire is getting sort of more ruthless, she could lose Kanan. So, I think a lot of times this has happened to me in the pandemic, where I've said to friends, there's one friend who I phoned just to make sure she was okay.
Yeah.
And we keep trying to have lunch. We keep trying to have lunch. I love her. It's not that I don't want to have lunch with her. I'd love to see her right now. But we thought we had all the time in the world. And I never called her. I never called her to say, so anywho, this happened. How is that? What are you doing? And she caught me up. We hadn't actually talked. We've texted. We haven't talked since 2014.
Oh, really?
Had no idea. But this is what I'm saying, is that I think Hera got so wrapped up in what she was doing that when their pandemic hit, which is that things were sort of coming to a head, she realized she could lose Kanan. She could lose everything that she's allowed herself to fall in love with, in terms of family, in terms of camaraderie, in terms of the cause, everything. And I think in realizing that, she made a baby.
She made a baby, yes, indeed.
Well, spoiler alert,
yeah, minus spoiler. But that's such a fantastic positive message, which really kind of sums up how positive Star Wars Rebels can be. And it kind of leads me to a question that we have from one of our members, Ethan, who asks, Ethan, he asks, what can Star Wars fans do kind of to help themselves and to help others during these kind of odd, scary times, do you think? Perhaps drawing lessons from Star Wars Rebels.
Well, I think when Hera says we have hope that things will get better, and they will, I think that's something that we can all do right now.
Yes.
I think that it's very important to focus on what's right instead of what's wrong, whether we're in a pandemic or not. And they say, like, what you focus on grows. So, building a gratitude list of sorts. I think reaching out to people, one of the wonderful things about social media, I understand there are some sort of dark nether regions of it, but for the most part, people can check on each other and, really just reach out and make sure that everyone's okay. I know that there are several charity events, like the Rebel Legion here in New Jersey. They had a telethon thing. Gosh, it was 2 weeks ago. We raised $10,000 for protective gear for those on the front lines. And yesterday I did something for the Mandalorian Mercs. They had a fundraiser for UNICEF. So there are things that are going on, and money is up in the air right now as well. So if donating is a problem, I have another friend who is actually making masks And she's making them out of, sort of Star Wars fabric that she's
really
found. Yeah, so she's making Star Wars and giving them to people to keep people safe that she loves. So
yes, there's that's such a positive message that you can kind of do different things with the community despite these restraints that have been placed on us.
Yeah, and I mean, and then the other thing is, like I said, to connect with people now that we have the time to do so, to really reach out and get closer to people that you thought you were close enough to, but you could really sort of cement those bonds. I know I've done plenty of Zoom calls, FaceTime, this and that with people, like I said, from all over. And so in that sense, it's been a bit of a gift. I've also decided to learn how to speak Spanish.
Oh, really? How far have you got with that?
Well, far enough to know that the Spanish I've been speaking has been completely wrong. I studied French for 14 years in school, and it's not far off from Spanish. So when my friends speak Spanish, I understand what they're saying for the most part, and I kind of interject here and there, and they're very kind because, there's the word ella, which I guess is she, and I've never heard ella in my life, but I'm assuming there may have been a few sentences with ella, and God bless them. I don't know what I've been saying, but so there's a revelation. I'm making a living amends to all my friends who speak Spanish to actually come correct. One of my friends is Puerto Rican, and I wrote her a letter. I wrote her a letter in Spanish, and she said, "Do not ever do that again," because I sort of spelled things out phonetic. I don't know what I did. Anyway, for example, well, the word mira means look. Mira aquí, mira.
Oh yeah.
I wrote META, and it's MIRA. Good stuff.
So it's baby steps.
Yeah. Anyway.
Do you know how you could say, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope" in Spanish?
No, but that's a bucket list item. I will figure that out.
Along with going to Cambridge.
That'll be my first announcement when we're all together.
Announce in Spanish. Well, this is so amazing that you've taken your time to learn new things as well as connecting with the Star Wars community.
Yeah, why not? Yes. It's funny, a friend of mine, hold on, I'm going to grab this. My friend sent me a very funny mask. 1 second.
Yes, very excited to find out what this is. Oh, that's amazing.
It's a Hera mask.
That is just the best.
It's the pattern of Hera's leku. So
is that the one that you wear when you go out?
Yes. When I go for my walks, that's what I wear. I represent. Yeah, isn't that fun?
That's amazing.
Why not? Anyway,
do you have a lot of Hera-based memorabilia from fans?
I do actually. Here, well, I have this little guy. Wait, where's the? There's that. And there's a girl, Xena, in Manchester. The Rebel Legion made me an honorary member, and Xena, she sent me this lovely card. I guess I don't know if you can't really see.
Oh, yeah,
John Boyd. Yeah, the girl with the green eyes.
Oh, that's
she
just
sent
like
me.
Hera.
Yeah, she sent me the most amazing green jacket that says Hera on the back of it, and she's just been so kind. You should find. She does Hera cosplay and crushes it. She's over in the UK. She's over in the UK. And my friends, the cyber nerds, I don't know if you know them. Find them online. They're fabulous. Yeah, they're my other UK buddies. We've given each other gifts over the years as well.
Oh, that's so exciting. Do you think there's something about Star Wars fans which are kind of more like, there's certainly a family, despite the negativity that sometimes goes around? Do you think there's that kind of family spirit?
Definitely. I think there's a generosity of spirit that is unparalleled. When we were recording, when people would get hungry, I would bring them bananas because that stops that growling sound. Yes. And so Steve Bloom, Zeb, sent out a GIF of a stormtrooper with a banana. And there's an artist who actually painted that image. He's in the UK as well, Stephen Quick.
Yes.
Yeah, you definitely check out his artwork. He's fantastic. So he sent me, hold on.
Oh, this is a real insight. into your Star Wars collection.
Yeah.
Oh, that
I
is.
don't know if you can
Oh, that's
see.
what you have behind you in the video.
Yeah, exactly. She's carrying a banana there.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so one of the blessings and the curses of having the Filoni background is you can sort of see these items. At any rate, yeah, and my first experience with such kindness, I was at Star Wars Weekends in Orlando,
yes.
Florida, and the show hadn't even come out yet. And there's this girl, her name's Allison Barrios. She has a business called Cosplay for Jedi, and she sells Leku for Aayla Secura, or you know, all sorts of Twi'lek characters that we know and love. And she waited in line overnight to give me a set of Leku that she had sewn together herself. And we both never met her in my whole life. We both started sobbing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So heartwarming.
And I just couldn't understand how someone who has, the show hasn't even come out yet. Like, how is this woman even, and she has children, like her kid, her child loves my Irwin character that I do on the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
Oh yes.
What's up, yo? Yeah. But anyway, it was wonderful to meet her family, and she's a lifelong friend now, and you know, that's just how it goes.
Yeah, there's this real community, despite kind of, I know often with Star Wars there's that, like, negative voices can often dominate because they're the loudest, but I think with Star Wars there really is that positive community, which is so nice to see.
I agree. Yeah, for sure.
And just I'll pick another fan question at random.
Okay.
We have one, since you were mentioning your recording process earlier, we have a question from Tom, who asks, what is the hardest part of acting in animation specifically, and what is the best part? And that kind of like going into the process of voice acting.
The hardest part.
Perhaps
that's
how it's different from normal acting, or as in live action acting.
I find it's not that it's easy. It's just that it delights me so much that I don't find it hard. It is hard work, but I love it, and so I don't notice how hard it is. I mean, I have a number of radio stations around the world, Capital FM in Kenya, about 12 rock stations in Canada.
Really?
And so they're sending me a radio copy all the time, particularly during the pandemic, you know, different announcements that needs to happen, et cetera, which was the case back when Ebola erupted, at least in Africa. But so it can be a bit of a grind. Sometimes I'm like a doctor on call. They pay like a retainer fee, and when they need me, I have to do it. And so that means that I carry around a voiceover studio everywhere I go. I mean, not to the market, but if I travel to the UK, I take all my recording gear with me and work it. I fashion some sort of booth. Everyone is unique. I think the most fascinating one, James Arnold Taylor helped me build. We were in, God, I love that guy. We were up in Seattle. He's the best. And he said, and I said, the room is echoey. I can't make the studio. And he said, here's what you do. You turn the couch upside down. I said, what? He said, well, turn the couch on its side, and then you drape, like, there's a lamp, a very high standing lamp in the room. Then you drape the comforter over that. And I was just like, you are MacGyver. You are Obi-Wan Kenobi, dude.
And how did that affect? Did that just make the acoustics better?
It was genius. I voiced the Special Olympics while I was up there, and they didn't say, hey, it sounds like you're hiding beneath a couch. What are you doing? You know, it all went off perfectly, and so thank goodness for that. But so maybe building portable voiceover studios is the hardest part.
You wouldn't expect that to come with the job, I suppose.
Yeah. And then, you know, sort of the most fun is that the only thing I'm limited by is my imagination.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I can play very old women. I can play very young children, boys, girls, aliens. In Final Space, I'm not sure if you guys have it over there. It's a hilarious cartoon. I think it just moved to Adult Swim.
That's what I'm.
I play. Well, yes, yeah. I'm not sure which episodes are on Netflix, but at any rate, I get to play a villain on that.
Oh, really?
And yeah, the villain talks like it is so scary. No, it's horrifying. But here's the thing:
that must really be hard for your throat, though.
Nah, not really. I don't. I mean, if it went on for a long period of time, perhaps. But I have so much fun doing it. Even that, I'm like, who cares, you know?
Who cares?
And I mean, when I work from home, I do all my auditions from home. My voiceover agency emails me voiceover auditions, and I sit here and I create these soundscapes, and I look at them as sort of 30-second films, if you will. Yeah. And I'm going to create something for their imagination so that they can see something vivid or laugh, or for just those 30 seconds alleviate some agony that they might be suffering from, that at least like doing that makes me feel productive. It makes me feel I'm like an alchemist here, an anthropologist.
Yes.
It's interesting to see how different things impact the voiceover read. When Obama won, everything was really, really bright. When 9/11 happened, if you were chipper about anything, you were deleted immediately, because it was a time for being somber. And even in the pandemic, I've noticed that the first round of commercials here were, we're all in this together. Everyone's changing. We're all at home, and then I think people got a little sick of that, because it's like, like a violin concerto. And then I noticed they started doing things like, we got this. This is what we were built for. You don't need to worry about a thing. We've always been here for you. It's this like, look, guys, enough with the violins. We're going to get through this. And it's more sort of like...
Oh, that's so interesting how like the acting world reflects what's going on in the real world.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. So, and because I noticed once that thing started playing on TV, then the specs on my voiceover copy, what they're looking for. We want someone who's, confident, not... Whereas when the pandemic first hit, we want someone nurturing who understands the whole, so this is all fascinating to me, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
That's just like the different things that are going on in the world reflecting that. That's so fascinating.
Yeah, it's endless. I went to Princeton University, and first I was going to major in religion for grade school. Then I was going to major in anthropology to get at sacred stories that are theatrical in different religious rituals. And then I ended up majoring in English. And so English is my first language, and I'm paid to read it out loud and create these soundscapes. So it works.
It works out.
Yeah.
That's a really fascinating insight into the kind of nature of voice acting. Thank you for sharing that.
Do you find that there is sort of a pattern with the members of your society in terms of what they're majoring in or working toward? Or is there anything
in terms of degrees or?
Yeah. Or is it just all across the map?
I think primarily the really big fans of Star Wars tend to be the humanities-based ones, so kind of English, history, that kind of thing. Is that what you've seen as well?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because that's sort of where I come at it from. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's because it's that, obviously we have lots of members who do sciences, but I think those links to kind of like the beats of stories and like the Joseph Campbell's myths ideas, which George Lucas tied into. I think that's certainly affecting the movie, because it's such a fantastic story, all of Star Wars.
Absolutely.
So
And it ebbs and flows. I mean, when things get out of balance, when even the Jedi Council goes too far, there's a force that comes to reconcile that. I mean, it's just so satisfying.
That's a fantastic story.
Yeah.
And just speaking of members of our society, I'll bounce over to another question. This one comes from this one's a bit more of an kind of to do with your character. John asks, John, who is one of the founding members of the society, so
hey, John.
a big one. He asks, which Star Wars character, aside from Hera, do you find the most inspiring, and why?
Ahsoka.
That's such a good answer.
For sure. Because she is true to herself without apology, humble, and consistently walks the walk and always does the right thing and gets the job done.
Yeah.
And she manages to be absolutely adorable. very much like
Really not.
Ashley Eckstein herself. I mean, Ashley really is much like that. And I
Oh,
am
really?
so inspired by her. Every move she has made subsequent to, um, all of this with her universe and her anti-bullying
Yeah.
message and
Mm.
focusing on mental health.
Yeah.
The women in Star Wars panel that we
Mm.
did
Oh, that was a
celebration.
fantastic one.
Yeah, it was lovely, and the idea that words matter and it's important how we speak to one another, and
Yeah.
uh, there are so many kids that get tormented, and
Hmm.
these words are sometimes lethal.
Yeah.
It's not okay. So anyway, but yeah, I would say Ahsoka. Now, characters that fascinate me that I would love to hang out with:
Hmm.
Asajj Ventress,
Yeah.
Aura Singh, and
Mm.
Plo Koon. Plo Koon
Oh,
all day,
Plo Koon. Hera and Plo Koon would be the dream team.
dude. Yeah, I every time I see Dave Filoni, I said, why can't we rebuild him? Look at Maul. Maul's made like 40 comebacks. Come on, man.
Why not Plo
Look at
Koon?
he's got like pantaloons on. He had nothing before. Look at this guy. Like, where's Plo Koon? We can do this.
You gotta give, and when I was speaking to James Arnold Taylor, he said his favorite character was Plo Koon. So you got to give the fans what they
See?
want.
Yeah. Well, I know Dave Filoni also likes Plo Koon and
Mm,
actually refers to him as Plo Cool.
really
Yeah.
fantastic wordplay there from Dave
Yeah.
Filoni. Just on that message of Ashley Eckstein's kind of positive messages that she espouses in Star Wars, I don't want to get too controversial about Star Wars, but obviously with a lot of the movies, there has been some criticism that perhaps they've not been as kind of representative of certain sections of the community, like the LGBT community, and
Mm.
like minimal roles held by like certain people, and like in no way criticizing Star Wars, because I think it really can be a force of positivity. But do you think that in a time when there's like increasing scrutiny of what the movies are saying, do you think like there's any risk of the positive Star Wars message becoming undermined? Do you think?
Uh, I don't,
Mm.
frankly. Um,
But oh, hang on.
Gender and even race when we have. Um, oh,
Oh
did we
yes,
lose?
you froze for a second, but now you're back.
Oh, sorry. I think with issues of gender and race, sometimes and maybe this is just the way I see it,
Yeah.
I feel like these characters are such solid characters that they transcend
Yes.
those details in a way. Hera isn't just a good female character; she's a great character, and
Yes.
her gender falls away for me. Do we want to see diversity in casting? Always.
Hmm.
I know in Rise of Skywalker, James Arnold Taylor and I are in a group of people who do all the background noises, like when Palpatine was hooked up to his thing and all the Sith lords are going, "Roar,
Really?
roar, 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 roar."
Is that
That
you?
was, yeah. Yeah,
What?
that's all it was. It's so much fun. I can't even tell you. It's like the best day
That's so
ever when
exciting.
I get to talk. But when the two females kissed at the end,
Yes.
we all were like, wow, thank you,
Hmm.
great, that's fantastic. But I think there's always room for improvement everywhere,
Yeah.
always, and I think we're heading in the right direction. It might not be at the speed that everyone wants, but I know everyone's heart and soul at Lucasfilm doesn't have any issue with any of those things to, I mean, not at all.
Yeah.
So I think we're well on our way, and if it's not quite enough, then stay tuned for more. Because I
That's
think if
such a
anyone's,
yeah.
I think if anyone's going to break the barriers and create a bunch of that, it would be the Star Wars saga.
That's such a fantastic thing to hear that the people in Lucasfilm working on Star Wars are kind of pushing for these greater representation, and that's so
Absolutely,
great to hear.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, well, I think originally the Clone Wars, the final season,
Hmm.
from the drawings that were released, I believe, I may be wrong, so don't, but as far as I know, no, I thought that Ahsoka, in the Ahsoka arc, that she meets up with a male character, and
Yes. Yeah, I heard
Dave
that.
Dave Filoni changed it to two female characters,
Mm.
and so I felt that's very telling as to how they
Yes,
want to
absolutely.
you know, tell stories moving forward. That back in the day, that was a male character, and now it was two female characters. And so I don't know, but you know, everyone, people can have the best of intentions, and unfortunately we misunderstand one another sometimes. And I hate when that happens, because I do think we can all get along.
Yeah.
If we have enough mercy and patience, it is possible.
Yeah, that's so positive to hear. Just a fantastic insight, because sometimes, especially with the Star Wars movies, it can seem that kind of the big Hollywood institutions are taking over, and like George Lucas's positive messages perhaps are getting fizzled out. But hearing you say that just completely
Yeah, I think everyone is trying to innovate and pivot to include everyone in a way that that can be embraced, you know, as necessary. It's an evolutionary thing. Unfortunately, it's terrible that there are certain characters that are underrepresented, etc. But I really do believe that the intention is pure and present and on the rise.
the rise of Skywalker.
Eh.
Exactly. What a fantastic ambassador for Star Wars and Cambridge University Star Society. If I moving away from, you know, potentially controversial topics, I'll go back to. I mean, this is a good question from another founding member. All of these are from founding members. George, who asks, what non-Star Wars TV shows do you watch?
Well, Killing Eve is fantastic.
Oh, I've heard such good things about that.
Oh my goodness, it is fantastic. Of course, filmed in the UK. I rest my case.
Your favorite place?
Oh, of course.
Are you a fan of Doctor Who? Because I know that's a really British-based show.
Yes. I haven't been watching that in the pandemic. I've been I'm watching Fleabag.
Oh yes.
Also great. There's a lot of great HBO content. Let's see what else. Billions is on over here on Showtime. There's another show on Showtime called Desus and Mero, and it's these two guys who they live in the Bronx. They used to be on Vice. They had first their own YouTube channel, then they were on Vice. Now they're on Showtime, and they're just hilarious. They screen all the details of the news through their worldview, really? Having grown up in the Bronx, and there's just such a very pure, honest take on things that I delight in. It's on Mondays and Thursday nights, and when they go on hiatus, I just don't know what I'm going to do. I get very distraught.
And linked to that, do you watch your own TV shows?
Not really. Not really.
Is that kind of a purposeful choice, or do you like not watching your own stuff back? Or
well, to be honest, there's so much content to catch up on. I recently actually just started watching The Handmaid's Tale finally.
Oh yes, I've heard that's really good.
So well written. Man, is that complicated. Yeah, it's fantastic. But it's funny because I watch like tons of BBC America, you know, BBC World News. Come on, guys. Yeah, that's kind of my deal. Anything British, I swear, any TV show that is remotely from the UK, I'm always a fan. It's winning combo.
You really are such a good ambassador for Cambridge.
Yeah.
And linked to TV shows, this is not asking for like any potential scoop or anything, but obviously there's rumors about a Rebel sequel series, but I'm not going to ask about that because probably not allowed to. But if you could see your character return in any capacity, what would be your dream way of seeing Hera back in any media whatsoever, any story whatsoever?
Well, I'm very curious what happens with her son. I want to know where Ezra went, and I want Sabine and Ezra to be found. So while Rebels absolutely ended, and it was a very complete ending, and it ended the way we wanted it to, exactly. I still have so many questions that I hope get answered some way, somehow. That would be delightful.
Yeah, that's interesting. When you were making the show, how many answers did you have? Kind of, I'm not asking for answers, but like, did you know how Hera's story was going to end, for instance? Did you know that certain characters were going to die? Yeah, you didn't?
No, nothing.
It was Did Filoni
They
just keep you in the
kept
dark?
mostly, yeah. Well, we knew that Kanan was going to die. I mean, Dave
Oh
sat
yeah.
us down. Dave sat us down one day
Hmm.
and let us know. And Tia was distraught. She was crying. And when I found out that Freddie had been campaigning to die for months, I was like, what, does he not want to hang out with us? Like, what do you mean he wants to die? And he's like, no, it's the poetic. He wanted Darth Vader to kill him. You know,
In a
he's a
poetic fashion.
hardcore Star Wars fan. So no, but I guess being older and wiser, and not only used to people coming and going in the business, but also in my life in terms of losing friends and family, etc.
Yeah.
That it's a part of the process. And if it makes a very powerful story, then it's worth that sacrifice. And
Yeah.
so he did tell us about that, but the ending, I had no idea that she made a baby.
Really?
Like that
You'd have thought you'd be the
epilogue,
first
and
to
there's
hear
this
about
little kid, the epilogue, you know, there's this little kid sitting next to her, and I looked at Taylor like, what is happening? And he's like, I don't know. And Tia, because Tia narrated that, Tia's the only one who knew and held that secret until it came out. So
it's amazing how much
hats off
secrecy.
to her.
Yeah.
Yes.
How the secrecy is surrounded.
Yeah.
Do you think, was it confirmed that your child was force sensitive, or is that?
I have not heard that. I don't know. That's one of my questions.
One of the many questions.
Well, where are his brain tails? Like, where are the Leku? What's going on? I guess he placed out of those, but then is he more Kanan than Twi'lek, or is he force sensitive?
So many questions.
I need to know.
I like how he was basically just a human, but with green hair. Green hair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Perfect hair. Yeah.
But that show is just so full of twists and surprise, and it's so interesting to know that even you didn't know about many of these things going on.
No, and was shocked to see that. Really did not expect that, because I thought that's something they would give me a heads up on.
Yeah, literally.
You know, hey, you know, she had a baby. Wait, what? Yeah.
But even you.
And I asked Filoni, when did it happen? And apparently, gosh, there was an episode where they were bickering, and it was at dusk, and then we went to commercial, and then we came back, and it was dawn. And,
really?
And so that's when it happened, is what Filoni said.
I'll have to look back for what the episode was.
Yeah, me too.
It's amazing how planned out, like, Dave Filoni and all of the creative crew just knows everything that's going on.
Yeah.
It really is a testament to how good the storytelling is.
Yes.
And just one other question. I know I don't want to keep you forever, but Ethan has another question, and he asks, it's quite a broad question, but since there's been such a positive chat about Star Wars, I think it's a good one. What is your fondest Star Wars memory?
Man, Star Wars weekends, the first one, same one where I met that lovely Allison. It was Peter Mayhew's birthday, and they brought out a Millennium Falcon cake, and he had just had surgery to be able to walk again, and he walked up to the cake, blew out the candles, and I'm sitting there with Ahmad Best, who was Jar Jar Binks, and I could barely speak to Chewie, because the thing is, when you look at Peter's eyes, it's Chewie, and it freaked me out. And so I wanted to respect his privacy. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm also a professional. So I figured, well, I will speak when spoken to. I'm not going to go to him and go, oh my God, Chewie, you were my first action figure. You know, because believe me, I could have fangirled out and been ridiculous, but I was very poised and silent and calm, and maybe rude, perhaps a little cold in trying to respect his space. Maybe I should have been a little more human and friendly. I don't know. But
I'm sure that it didn't come across that way. That
was the last day that we were there. And I went into the ladies' room after that and just wept. I just wept because I, you know, here's the thing. And I'm not sure. How old are you?
19.
Ugh. See, no. I mean, here's the thing. Adulting can be very challenging. And do you know what I'm saying? Like, there are certain rules of society, taxation, adulting.
It's just tough.
Oh gosh, it's just like, what is this? Do you know what I mean? And then
I didn't want to hear that.
I mean, even scholastically, you go to school, you do really well. I got straight A's. I won awards at Princeton. I had all this stuff. I went to NYU graduate school. I got a master's in acting, this and that, and all these things on the outside that seem to sort of order things in a row. But ultimately, everyone, well, maybe not everyone, but I think there's, look at Hamlet. There's a dark night of the soul where and maybe people are facing that right now in the middle of the pandemic. And I'll say, if you are facing that, as someone who has faced that, and then is suddenly hanging out with Chewbacca, like, you just don't know where life can take you. Do you know what I mean? That's worth
such
it.
A positive message.
It is so worth it to hang out because it'll blow your mind. That's why I was crying that day, is because had I given up, or had I just said, I don't want to adult, I can't handle any of this stuff. And the world is so bizarre, and even more bizarre today. I can't even imagine, like, certain high school seniors not getting a graduation. There's no prom for them. Like, I don't even know, my friends' children, they can't see their friends. We're in very strange times right now.
Absolutely.
So, if anyone is experiencing a dark night of the soul, please, please, please hang in there. I mean, look, I'm going to be over to the UK as soon as possible, and we're all going to party. So just hang in there. It's going to be fantastic. You just never know.
The best thing I've ever heard. That's just such a positive message.
And that's, I think, Ashley Eckstein really promotes that as well. And if you haven't read her book, she just helps people lay the groundwork for pursuing their dreams. I think it's important, and we all deserve that. And to pursue that and to have it come to pass. So it's worth it. Hang in there.
That's such a positive message, because, like, obviously this situation is really tough, but, like, as with all, like speaking personally, as with all, like, dark periods of my life, Star Wars and, like, messages like that just take us through. So it's so fantastic to hear you say that.
Absolutely. And then plus, like, how fantastic. I'm so grateful that you reached out to me. I mean, to be ambassador, I literally, I just, it was like the gift of the pandemic. I was so grateful, truly.
It's a dream come true for us as well.
Well, okay, hold on. Let me see here. Okay. In my voiceover studio, I don't know if you can see.
Oh, you have to remove the wallpaper just so we can.
Okay, hold on. This will be worth it, guys. One sec.
So this
virtual background, none. Okay. Hello. There's a map of the UK subway. Hold on.
The underground.
We are just getting real. You're now coming upstairs in my home. Okay, so
Vanessa Marshall's house tour.
Yeah. What's up? Okay, hold on. So here, I'll show you, not to be, like, too deeply personal, but my actual bed. Can you see? There's, like, Union Jack, as well as little dog. Hold on. There's more.
The stars just aligned when I asked you to be ambassador,
No, I mean, I don't think you even understand. Hold on. Then this is, can you see? Wait.
Oh, right.
My couch. Couch has
Union Jacks everywhere.
Yeah.
And
then last but not least, we have a red bus pillow.
That is so fantastic.
And while we're up here, I'll take you into the Star Wars room very quickly.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Hold on. Here's every fan who's ever given me anything. It's all right here. And as a matter of fact,
that is amazing.
I mentioned the, I don't know if, can you see that?
Oh, honorary member of the Rebel Legion.
Yeah, that's from when I was in Manchester, and I was made an honorary member. So everyone's gift that has ever been given to me is in that room right there. So I am eternally grateful.
Room.
Oh God, yeah.
This whole thing has just been so heartwarming.
If people can't understand that, that's a deal breaker. Oh, and here's a new piece of art I just got. You see that?
That's the best thing I've seen.
Yeah, right?
Star Wars and David Bowie are my two favorite things.
Right? Yeah, so At any rate, all right. And then there she is.
And there's the classic.
So now I've given you a tour of my home.
That was fantastic. I try and stay professional in these interviews, but that was too amazing.
So I really mean it. Like, thank you. I'm beyond grateful. So thank you.
We cannot thank you enough for being just the best ambassador for Cambridge University Star Society. It really
fantastic. Well, I will see you as soon as humanly possible.
Oh, we can't wait. We'll show you all the Cambridge sites, take you out to the Cambridge clubs.
Yay! Thank God.
And thank you so much for doing this interview as well. It's just what we all needed right now.
Bless you. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you.